Good morning. I'm standing in my doorway because it's freezing out there. It's like 21 degrees or more lower and getting colder. Today's high only 23. And as you can see overnight, maybe a half inch of snow there on my new car, something like that. It's beautiful out, but cold. Maybe some snow here in about a week and something more significant. We'll talk about that. Let's send it back into the studio. And here's Mike with your forecast.
Thanks a lot, Mike. You need some coffee or something? You all right? Okay. All right. Hey, good morning. It's Monday. It's the first Monday of December, December 2nd, 9:45 in the morning here in Western Iowa with some light flurries even right now. Now, light flurries, that's redundant. I know. Okay. Hazards for today. It's cold in the southeast. Freeze warnings, Georgia into Florida. I don't know if those orange prices will be going up, but it's cold. That's pretty cold. Freeze warnings. All right. A little bit of lake effect snow left. Eastern Great Lakes kind of winding down, but a little bit there. If you saw the Buffalo game last night, how fun was that? It was a blowout game, but I watched it till the end just to watch the snow. Anyway, winter storm warnings off of Lake Michigan on the Michigan side. And then we have a little bit of winter weather advisories surrounding that and also on the UP of Michigan into Wisconsin. A little bit of fog on the West Coast and a little bit of wind issues for the Northern Rockies up by Glacier National Park. Temperature, 24-hour temperature changes. A little cooler in the east and the southeast, a little warmer in pockets. But look at that pocket of much below average, or I should say much below yesterday, 24 hours ago, into South Dakota, North Dakota, and Nebraska, and some of that moving into Iowa this morning with a cold front. So it is getting colder here in the Midwest. And yesterday was not warm. Like I said, here in where I live in Western Iowa, we have not been above freezing since Wednesday. We may peak again above it tomorrow. I don't know though. Maybe Wednesday. So a week below freezing. I will show you the ice on the lake. I did check it out, and there is some ice on the lake. Anyway, cold front moving through the central plains. That little disturbance with the light snow still hanging out in Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, down into Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina. Doesn't look like it's going to be a lot, but maybe a dusting in some of these areas. And then we see the lake effect snow, where the heaviest snow will be. Our anomalous temperatures today. Yeah, it's cold in the northern plains. It's cold in the Midwest. It's cold in the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, to the mid-Atlantic and the southeast. And it's warm in the west. Highs today looking like this. Where I live, low 20s. Teens in North Dakota and to the east, temperatures below freezing. You get into the mid-Atlantic, into Tennessee, back into the central plains, we see 40s, 50s further south in the southeast, which is kind of cool for this time of year. But we see some 60s down there in Texas and 70s in southern Arizona. Lows tomorrow morning. Check this out. Below freezing all the way down, through Atlanta, through Montgomery and Birmingham, Alabama, through Holly Springs, Mississippi, all the way down to almost Jackson. Arkansas, you're below freezing. Same with Oklahoma and the rest of the plains. And then you get further north and it's colder. It'll be in the low teens here. Surface for tomorrow, we do have that cold front moving through Texas now, and some showers along the Texas Gulf Coast and into South Texas of rain. But it's snow everywhere else, and we're talking mainly upper Midwest through the Great Lakes into the Northeast. Anomalous temperatures tomorrow. Well, we're warming up a little bit in the plains, but much below average when you go through, say, Kentucky, Tennessee, into the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, even into Florida. This is where it feels coldest compared to average. Those actual highs, only 30s for Tennessee and Kentucky. Only low 40s for North Carolina, mid 40s for South Carolina, and barely 50 all the way down to the Gulf Coast, maybe low to mid 50s for some, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. 50s for Texas, some 60s, and pretty cool in the Northwest. And then you get into the Southwest, and that's where it's warmest. 70s prevail in Tucson and Phoenix. Surface for Wednesday. Another shot of cold air coming in the northern plains. Another disturbance moving through the Great Lakes. Heavy snow. UP of Michigan, northern Michigan. Also parts of New York and Pennsylvania with some more lake effect snow. Scattered showers and storms for the southeast and a chance of rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest. Anomalous temperatures Wednesday, basically above average west and into the plains and Midwest, and below average east, especially Great Lakes and Southeast and Florida. And then much below average, that little shot of cool air that's coming into the northern plains, 15 degrees below average for Minot. And it's already cold in Minot this time of year. High of 36 for Wednesday. We'll be above freezing here for the first time in a week in western Iowa, probably around 40. Mid-50s Central Plains, 60s Southern Plains, 50s Southeast, 40s further north, 30s Northeast, 40s and 50s along the West Coast, and 60s for the Central California areas, low 70s there in southern Arizona. Let's check out the GFS. We have some interesting things coming. When I was standing by my doorway, reporting live, anyway, I alluded to a chance of some more significant snows here in the Midwest coming in about a week, and that's what's on the GFS. So let's show you. This is this morning. Here's that cold air sinking southward. Here's that little snow disturbance, very light, moving through eastern Iowa right now into Missouri. And actually, we still have some lingering snow right now. There's a few flakes out there even as I'm looking out the window. It's pretty. Anyway, we go through time here. Oh, I should scroll up, shouldn't I? That would frame it better. There we go. Now you can see what's going on South Texas, where we have some rain. Little disturbance of snow moving into Kentucky and dissolving into Tennessee. And a few snow jets left on the eastern Great Lakes. But that's where it's waning the most. We see the more significant lake effect snow coming off of Lake Michigan. And as we get into the day tomorrow, we're starting to see some of this warmth invade into the plains. Not quite here in Iowa yet, but starting to warm up west of us. And we see a little bit of lake effect snow lingering. Now we see a snowstorm. A snowstorm moving into the Great Lakes. And as that does so, some more heavy snow, especially for Michigan. A little bit of rain moving into Texas, Houston, down towards Corpus Christi. This gets us into Wednesday morning. And as we go through the day Wednesday, we see another area of cold air coming down into the upper Midwest. So it's going to knock our temperatures back down a little bit later into Thursday. So Wednesday, we warm up in western Iowa. Thursday, we cool off a little bit. And then the weekend, it looks really quite warm for this time of year. But anyway, Wednesday, we see more lake effect snow and just snow enhanced by this low. And the snow moving into Ohio, Pennsylvania, all the way down to Connecticut and New Jersey. So finally, the East Coast getting in on some of the action near the coast as we get into Thursday morning. Very windy and cold, more lake effect snow now behind that system. It's like they need more snow. 3, 4, 5 feet of snow along the eastern Great Lakes has already fallen. So it's madness here. And then we get into Friday, we start to see that warmer air bubble up into even Iowa, into the Midwest. Some rain, central Texas, and starting to show up along the southeast. A little bit of light snow up here in the panhandle of Idaho into northwestern Montana. All right, we have more rain for Texas moving into Louisiana. We have more rain for Washington State. Even rain for northern Idaho. So it hasn't been very snowy, at least in this area of Idaho yet, maybe in the mountains, but not so much in the valleys, and that goes for Boise too. So that trend continues. As we get into Friday night, rain for Texas, snow for Minnesota, rain for northwestern Washington, and that rain moves into Oklahoma, into Arkansas as we get into Saturday morning. The rain gets into the Oregon and Washington coast as we get into Saturday. The snow, again, another little system moving through the Great Lakes with more snow, like they need it or something. Rain continues, now moving into Louisiana, Mississippi, and back into Texas. Snow, changing to snow for the mountains, at least, of Idaho. Rain at the lower elevations. This gets us into almost Sunday. A couple more clicks, we're into Sunday. Here's midnight Saturday. So rain, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, snow in the northeast scattered around. some snows for maybe some of the lower elevations in northern Idaho and into Montana. And then we see rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest. This gets us more into Saturday. You're like, Mike, you promised us a plains snowstorm in a week. Well, it's coming. All right, we have some pretty heavy rain here, Louisiana into the southeast, and a system dropping southward. We've had a ridge over the west and a trough over the east, and the pattern is changing. As we get later in the weekend, we're starting to dig a trough in the west, and we'll see a warm up moving into the Great Lakes with this system being mostly rain as it moves northward into say Ohio, through Tennessee, through Kentucky, into Mississippi and Alabama. And we see quite a bit of snow now coming down as, again, we're digging a trough in the west to start next week. So 7 days from today, snow into Wyoming and into Colorado and to Utah, and the rain moving northward towards the Great Lakes. Now, enough snow and cold air here. We're going to see a transition of freezing rain and sleet and just a mess, kind of a silver thaw. I don't know that it's going to thaw all the way, but a little bit of a silver thaw with some rain behind it. And then we're seeing the development now of our next storm system for the plains, moving into the central Rockies, already seeing some snow in western Nebraska. As our mess in the eastern Great Lakes continues and rain further south. And then this system getting its act together, moving into Nebraska, moving into northwest Kansas, eastern Colorado. This gets us into Monday the 9th, so a week from today. And then as we get into Tuesday, we see this low getting its act more together. Starts out as rain and freezing rain where I live in western Iowa, but that's going to transition to snow. Certainly snow further north, say Sheldon, Iowa, moving into Minnesota, parts of South Dakota, and of course Nebraska into Kansas. And as we get into Tuesday the 10th, it's kind of a snowstorm for eastern Nebraska into western Iowa, and then into Minnesota and also Wisconsin, while our rain is in the east. We see how warm it's gotten here as our trough in the west has dug all the way into New Mexico and West Texas, with a storm system in between, moving into the plains and then into the Midwest. Some lingering snows for western Iowa, if this comes exactly true, Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, it starts to exit to the northeast with more snow for the Great Lakes, and we see quite warm. So that silver thaw really was a thaw because it's quite warm with rain moving into the Great Lakes as we get into the middle part of next week. So could be a plains storm coming in about 8 or 9 days. So we'll keep an eye on that. I looked at a couple other computer models, and I think is it the European? No, it was the Canadian. The Canadian also has that snowstorm on that model. So we're starting to see some model agreement too. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, here's our temperature trends for the rest of the week to get us to the weekend forecast. This is Thursday's highs. So still below freezing here. Well, back below freezing here in Iowa. So Wednesday, Iowa's in the 40s. Thursday, that cold front moving into the Midwest, cooling us back off. And, and some of that cooler air make filtering further south as well. But we get into Friday and that reverses itself. That cold air pulls off into the Great Lakes and Northeast, and we start to see warmth returning to the plains. That expands even more on Saturday with the cold air retreating even from the Great Lakes as the silver thaw turns into an actual thaw. And then Sunday, we're starting to see those temperatures cool off in the west and bubble up into the plains, warming up. So it's going to be a warmer weekend here in the Midwest before things cool off again next week with maybe a snowstorm Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll see. 8 to 10 today temperatures. We're looking December 9 through the 15th, and you can see that warm up from the west, and our warm up in the east and mid and Great Lakes too, returning to near normal, and then still a chance of below average temperatures for the East Coast. Precipitation wise, kind of around the edges, north and east and south, dry west. And we do have the December outlook now from the National Weather Service. This was issued November 30th. And if this comes true, on average for the entire month, warm west, coolest eastern Great Lakes and east into the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley, and then near average or equal chances of average from the Midwest down into the Southeast and into Florida. Precipitation-wise for December, pretty dry or average for most of the country. Best chance for below average would be the southwestern U.S. All right, I'm pretty excited about a possible storm next week, and even the half inch of snow overnight it's pretty to look at, and it's still a few flakes out there right now. So I'm going to go maybe take some pictures. I probably should work. That's probably what I'm going to do. Anyway, we'll catch you back here tomorrow for another update. Thanks for tuning in, the Weather Mike.